Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Fatima Murbuba. Good to have you join us. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says government is putting in place strategies to mitigate the effects of poverty on the growing population of Nigeria. He was speaking at the opening of the 24th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja, where economic players in the public and private sectors converged to brainstorm on how to improve the economic prosperity of Nigerians.
And we are to become third most populous nation by 2050. Of this population, over 60% will be young people, and about 1.4 million entering the job market every year. But how do we explain the paradox of high growth figures and rising poverty and unemployment figures? The first explanation is that high oil revenues do not necessarily translate to jobs. The oil industry by itself produces very few jobs. The high revenues can only translate to jobs and better living standards if the revenues are invested in diversification of the economy, infrastructure, education and healthcare, and social protection for those who cannot work.
The primary objective of the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan was to take us out of recession. But it wasn't just to do that. It was to ensure that we moved on a positive growth, a growth that is sustained, a growth that is diversified, a growth that is inclusive.
They must be able to remain in school for as long and as far as their abilities propel them. And those who teach our children must have the ability, the capacity, and the moral integrity to impart the knowledge that allows the child to think, analyze, and remain curious.
The summit is tagged Poverty to Prosperity, Making Governance and Institutions Work, with focus on human development, sustainable economic opportunities, participation and citizens' rights, effective public institutions, corruption, and rule of law. The federal government has stepped up measures to reform the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. To this end, the presidential panel to investigate the outfit has commenced public sitting to entertain complaints, suggestions, and inputs that will assist in achieving the objective. Omenka Amarachuku reports.
Following allegations of violation of human rights and prolonged detention without trial and degrading treatment of arrested suspects, the Nigerian government directed IGP to reform the outfit. Consequently, a presidential panel was constituted to reform the SARS. Now, the panel has commenced public sitting to enable those that have grievances to present them. The investigation is to enable the reform SARS to act in accordance with international best practices.
I want to assure all that this panel and the Commission will adhere to the principles of fair hearing in discharging its functions and will not stand idle and watch while the fundamental human rights of citizens are trampled upon and violated by law enforcement agencies, entities, or individuals.
We've already started some reforms, and we believe that the outcome of this panel's work will equally enhance what we're doing. I want to assure the chairman and members that nobody will be victimized for airing his or her view.
Outcome of the public hearing will lead to recommendations to the federal government as SARS reforms is perfected. In Abuja, Omenka Mrachukwu, NTA News.
And day 2 of the ongoing workshop for petroleum executives in Boston has resolved to transform the Nigerian oil and gas sector to a high-performance sector. Participants say this is the only way Nigeria can optimally harness her hydrocarbon resources. Energy correspondent Lydia Sampson reports.
Nigeria, like any resource-rich country, over time remained a mono economy. Determined to change the narrative, woo investors, as well as use money accruing from the sector judiciously, key players in oil and gas are in Boston, United States of America, to come up with projections for the future.
So here to forge ahead as a team. We've discovered that most of the time we've been working in silos, and that hasn't augured well for the industry. So we want to come and learn how to work better together so that we will reduce costs.
And a wide range of matters for that matter, from upstream to the midstream and downstream. For me, really, it's a good one. It's a good starting point. We can only build upon it.
With this program, I think my horizon has been further expanded. There are many things that one has learned.
It's a refresher, as it were, and then also bring to the table some new concepts in terms of petroleum arrangements, be it the various agreements that you have, the pros and cons of the various agreements.
Here, the petroleum executives from all agencies under the Ministry of Petroleum Resources are speaking point blank and answering critical questions so as to build on lessons learned and chart a way forward for the oil and gas sector. From Boston, United States of America, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Anyway, from that now, it's another time for Nigerian children to explore and exhibit their ingenuity in technological advancement at the NTA Children's Expo 2018. Joseph Johnson reports that this year's event has as its theme, achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture.
Shamsuddin Jibril from Sadauna Memorial College, Kaduna, showcasing his project at the annual event NTA's Children Expo, where technological ideas are creatively engineered by these young ones to solve problems. This time, the focus is on agriculture. The 12-year-old from junior category says his mini agro quadcopter has the potential to ease the stress farmers encounter.
Government, there's kidnappers that are kidnapping people. They cannot go farm. They are afraid of those kidnappers. Maybe they are fighting. They are going to kidnap them. That is why the farmers now, they are not going to their farm. That is why I say I'm going to embed this in order to help farmers for monitoring their farms in order to scale their farms. That is it.
Like Shamsuddin, all the participants from across the country in the junior and senior categories have invention that they believe will solve some of Nigeria's problems in the chosen themes, and were successful at the state's competition, which was held across all NTA stations.
The world is moving to a technology age, and as NTA we are charting the course, and as an early age we want to bring up children to be first creative and help to make Nigeria take Nigeria to the next level.
For 4 days, Shamsuddin and the other inventors will have their works subjected to tests by a team of judges for the NTA Expo 2018, which has been a major national event for the young ones to showcase their talents and possibly have the startup they require to excel. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Nigerian Television Authority will continue to partner with progressive forces in order to fast-track all-round development in Nigeria. Director General of NTA, Malam Yakubu Muhammad, stated this when he played host to members of the APC Broom platform in Abuja. Political correspondent Salihu Abdullahi reports.
The All Progressives Congress Broom platform is a forum of media practitioners and supporters of President Muhammadu Buhari who believed in his visionary leadership style that is providing genuine growth and sustainable development in Nigeria. As the political space is becoming more engaged, the political support group is out in search of media assistance to enable it effectively and efficiently carry out its proposed media tour and showcase the activities of the Buhari administration. National coordinator of the APC Broom platform, Tom Ohikere, while acknowledging various infrastructural development by the Buhari administration, says the president's character and qualities and the party's policies are worthy for Nigerians to uphold the change agenda beyond 2019. Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, assured Nigerians that NTA remains a critical partner in bridging the gap between the government and the governed and increase citizens' orientation about good governance.
And NTA is ever ready to work with all progressive forces, that have as their major objective the advancement of the causes of the government, of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The group's planned media tour across the country is expected to commence from 5th November 2018 to 25th January 2019. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Thanks, Salihu. The management of a National Youth Service Corps has advised all 2018 BATC prospective corps members deployed to Kaduna State that the commencement of the orientation course earlier scheduled for Tuesday, 23rd October 2018 has been suspended till further notice. This is due to the current security situation and consequent curfew imposed by the state government. Moving on now, the implementation of the white paper on industrial relations will go a long way in restoring sanity in the labor sector, as well as enhances the rights of the workers. This was the view of guest on Good Morning Nigeria this Monday. Murjana Adam Saeed reports.
The white paper on industrial relations, adopted by the Federal Executive Council, covers many issues, including the no work, no pay provision, which has been in Nigeria's law books but rarely implemented. Director of Trade Union Services and Industrial Relations, Omabie Akpan, explains that the policy is not new but has become necessary for application.
Federal government in particular is the highest employer of labor in the country. You have a responsibility to remind your employees of what is contained in the law, so that they are aware that when they take actions that are not in line with due processes, there are consequences.
First Deputy President of the Trade Union Congress, however, says the policy negates labor principles as enshrined in provisions of the International Labour Organization.
Right to strike, the right to picketing is inalienable right of the worker.
Other guests also want the government and Labour to look critically at this matter and ensure it doesn't become another instigator of conflicts.
Prompt workers to go on strike. If we can't deal with that issues, usually workers will not go on strike without serving notice. A law, good or bad, remains a law until it is repealed.
The issue of productivity and faithful implementation of agreements by employers was also discussed. In Abuja, Murjanatu Adam Saeed, NTA News.
Former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose remanded in prison. Let's get details from Dotun in Lagos. Dotun, it's over to you.
Many thanks, Fatima, for joining us in Lagos. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned the immediate past governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, before Justice Mojisola Olatoregun of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos, on an 11-count charge of alleged money laundering, criminal breach of trust, and misappropriation of funds. Abolore Ogbara reports on the court proceedings.
The immediate past governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, who appeared before Justice Mojisola Olatoregun, was charged for taking possession of the sum of 1,219 million naira to fund his 2014 gubernatorial campaign in Ekiti State on 17th June 2014. The court says the alleged stolen fund formed part of proceeds of corruption. This offense is contrary to Section 15, subsection 2D of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011, as amended, which is punishable under Section 15, subsection 3 and 4 of the same Act. The defendants pleaded not guilty of all the 11-count charge. The counsel to the accused person, Kanu Agabi, however, made an application for bail, but the prosecutor of EFCC, Rotimi Oyedepo, requested that the accused be remanded in custody. The defendant was remanded in the EFCC custody pending bail application and for further hearing on Wednesday, the 24th of October in Lagos. Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
The Federal Road Safety Corps has charged the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Petroleum Tanker Drivers Session, to continuously engage its members in rigorous traffic trainings to avoid frequent accidents on Lagos roads. Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi, who declared open a one-day training session for drivers, said such trainings would minimize accidents involving tankers on the road. He said in 2016, the Federal Road Safety Corps recorded increased number of road crashes involving tankers across the country, adding that this led to a series of consultations by stakeholders to reduce such accidents that claimed many lives and property.
For their drivers, and this is very critical. Even though we have seen a slight reduction in road traffic crashes involving the tanker drivers, we have recorded 196 this year, and if you look at the economic value, that's about 9.8 billion loss involving tankers alone, excluding the cost of other vehicles' lives, damage to the environment and to the road. So we still need to do more work, and I'm happy that NUPENG PTD is putting in its best in ensuring capacity building for the drivers, and this is taking place also once they finish Lagos axis. The other program will take place in Kaduna, Warri.
The FRSC boss also said new innovations are being made to check the excesses of tanker drivers on the roads. We now join Kaduna for an update on the curfew imposed in the state.
Thank you very much, and a warm welcome to
Thank you very much, Dutton from Lagos. And then we'll now go on a short break. We'll be back with Nationwide. Please stay with us. Good to have you back. And it's now time for us to join Suleiman in our Kaduna Network Center for updates on the security situation there. Suleiman?
and a warm welcome to Kaduna. The update is that Kaduna Metropolis remains calm and peaceful with 24-hour curfew in force. Ibrahim Belogunda has a situation report.
That was the popular Ahmadu Bello Way, Kaduna, with its normal hustle and bustle. But this is the situation with the 24-hour curfew in force. Shops at the popular Abubakar Gumi Market are under lock and key, while security operatives are in strategic locations to enforce the curfew. Only those on essential services are allowed movement, while defaulters are apprehended by the security operatives. Governor Nasser Ahmed El-Rufai has visited areas affected by the crisis to sympathize with the victims and urge them to cooperate with security agencies as government takes necessary steps to address the problem. In Kaduna, Ibrahim Bello Gunda, NTA News.
Inadequate knowledge and lack of adherence to the teachings of the major religions have been identified as part of the causes of the crisis bedeviling the North. This was the submission of stakeholders at a peace-building meeting in Kaduna. Benny Adams has the details.
Kaduna State has been having its share of crises that threaten peace and security. The most recent being the Kasomagani violence, which claimed lives and property. Worried by such incidences, members of the Interfaith Dialogue Forum for Peace, with representatives of Jamaatul Nasr Islam, Christian Association of Nigeria, the leadership of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders and Farmers Association, and other faith-based groups from the local government areas, with records of crisis, converged on Kaduna to come up with what they described as realistic ways of ending threat to peace in the north.
Even World War was settled on the table.
That's why we are going around to really sensitize the people and let them know that we need peace in this country.
The Interfaith Dialogue Forum for Peace is on advocacy visit to all the local government areas in the state with a view to forwarding recommendations to the federal government for necessary action. In Kaduna, Benny Adams, NTA News.
And a reconciliation committee constituted by Kano State Government to address grievances of various aspirants who contested primary elections on the platform of All Progressives Congress in the state has commenced healing process among party members. Mansur Ali Hassan reports that the committee, under the chairmanship of General Bashir Saliu Magashi, is meeting with various stakeholders in the party.
The reconciliation process is part of the efforts to heal wounds on account of alleged manipulations during party primaries in the state. The committee is dealing with allegations of improper conduct of the primary elections from the 44 local government areas. Governorship primary election is the only position that is not under any contention. This provided a platform for the committee to meet with aggrieved aspirants to broker peace. While interacting with some of them, Chairman of the committee, General Bashir Salihu Magashi, said they are working towards addressing issues that may impede the success of the party at all levels in the forthcoming general election.
Everything as directed by the convening authority will make sure we comply with it.
He called on APC supporters in Kano to put behind the passive injustice for the interests of the party. In Kano, Mansur Aliyu Hassan, NTA News.
And that is the size of our contribution from Kaduna Network Center. It's back to you in Abuja for more on the Nationwide.
Thank you very much, Suleiman. The 2018 survey of agricultural output shows a significant improvement in crop and livestock production during the 2017-2018 rainy season. The investigation reveals that despite the floods that affected crop production in 2018, the cropping season looks promising for farmers. Musa Babalu has more.
This is one of the major rice markets in Bunza local government area of Kebbi State. The Bunza market is at its core, is named after the local government area. The over a century-old market, which is always a beehive due to volume of business transactions, is classified among the biggest paddy rice markets in Nigeria. Even though there are no records of how many tons of rice come in and out of the market, the operators of the rice trade say over 500 truckloads of rice leave the market daily. This, therefore, places Kebbi State as the largest producer of rice paddy in 2016 and 2017 wet and dry season farming.
Out of the 5.67 million metric tons produced in this country, Kebbi State alone produced 3.56 million metric tons of rice per annum.
But the 2018 survey conducted by the Agricultural Research Institute Zaria with the collaboration of Federal Ministry of Agriculture indicates that Niger State is to lead in rice production this year. The state is expected to produce 700 metric tons of rice at the end of this year's rainy season. Kaduna State leads in maize production in the country with about 900,000 metric tons. Kano State is to lead in sorghum with 500,000 metric tons.
Almost all the states, 36 plus FCT, increased their production in terms of areas, in terms of, covering more areas compared to last year.
The survey also indicates that prices of produce will gain stability and small-scale farmers will smile to the bank. Mubasa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And away from agriculture now to a bit of health. Nigerian health practitioners in diaspora have been advised to come back home and contribute to the growth of the country's health sector. This came to fore at the 2018 Future for Health Conference by the Health Watch in Abuja. Basi Itaikbang reports.
A conference tapped diaspora of Nigeria's brain gain is aimed at ensuring that every Nigerian, irrespective of social status, has access to quality and affordable health care.
Obviously, when those specialties, experts return and settle and relocate their practice here, it will be far cheaper to have those medical attention, medical care for which Nigerians travel around the globe to purchase.
Whether people are coming back all of a sudden or coming back gradually, ultimately is going to reduce medical tourism. Because even for us, we were surprised when we asked around and found out some practices that were available in Nigeria. And these are some of the services that Nigerians are going to other countries for.
Also working with the Federal Ministry of Health to help them, where they have a desk already, to help them get documented, registered, to make sure that their registration of when they want to relocate back to Nigeria and connect with fellow specialists is made seamless.
That a number of older, more matured, and extremely talented individuals are making their way or preparing to make their way back to the country.
Speakers at the forum stressed the need for health professionals in Nigeria and in the diaspora to seek ways to leverage their specialist training and to build networks that will strengthen the country's health sector and help curb medical tourism. Basi Taikman, NTA News.
And ahead of the 21st November airlift of intending Christian pilgrims to Israel, the Nigerian Pilgrims Commission has organized an orientation workshop aimed at preparing its medical team for the mission. Miriam Akpata has the details.
Every year, most Christians all over Nigeria go to the Holy Land for pilgrimage, and in most cases, some are attending for the first time, posing more challenges as some fall ill during the exercise. The Christian Pilgrims Commission, as part of its duty to ensure proper medical services for pilgrims and improving on the zero mortality rate achieved during last year's exercise, brought together medical personnel from various fields to sit for an exam set by JAM to prepare them for the task ahead. The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, Reverend Tor Uja, admonished the medical personnel to explore the opportunity given to them by manifesting their greatness.
I want the youth of this nation to develop a new mentality, a mentality of productivity, of development and advancement.
This year's pilgrimage would be hitch-free by the grace of God. And that is why this orientation program has come.
I came here not really expecting much, but actually I have achieved more than I expected.
There's a reinforcement on my spiritual belief, and then fantastic reminders on what we need to do as healthcare providers during the pilgrimage.
It is expected that after this orientation program, all members of the medical team will exhibit exemplary leadership as they discharge their duty in the Holy Land. In Abuja, Miriam Akpata, NTA News.
Many thanks, Miriam. And it's now time for us to go to our Benin Network Center for more updates with Abehi. Okay, I think we'll be hooking up with Benin much later. The Nigeria Air Force Officers' Wives Association, NAFOA, New Busa Chapter, Niger State, has graduated 100 participants from its Vocational and Skills Acquisition Program. Kabir Abdullahi reports that the graduation, which was the 9th, is aimed at empowering women and youth to be self-reliant.
The Nigeria Air Force Officers' Wives Association, NAFOA Skill Acquisition and Vocational Training Program, is aimed at assisting the less privileged in the society in order to add value to human existence through capacity building initiatives and providing succor to those in need. Wife of the Chief of Air Staff and National President of NAFOA, Hajja Hafsat Sadiq Abubakar, said the journey started at Air Force Base Makodi, headquarters of the Tactical Air Command, with a large population of widows who had lost their breadwinners to the ongoing insurgency in the northeastern part of the country.
In the past 2 years, we have trained and successfully graduated 2,000 participants in different trades.
Guest of honor and Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, represented by Air Vice Marshal Isaka Amau, commended the effort of NAFOA for successful completion of 9th edition of the Skill Acquisition Program.
When skill acquisition and vocational training are combined with other forms of professions, it offers infinite options and veritable opportunities for employment.
Now that she brought this skills acquisition, so I've achieved a lot. With this, I will help myself and help my family.
Featured inspection of exhibition stand and display by graduating participants, as well as presentation of certificates and starter packs to the beneficiaries. In New Busa, Kabir Abdullahi, NTA News.
We'll now hook up with our Benin Network Center for more updates with Obehi. Obehi, it's over to you.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in Benin. The Deputy Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, Victor Eduro, has been impeached for the second time in 1 year. His impeachment motion is based on alleged corruption, misappropriation of funds, and acts liable to destabilize the House.
The motion to impeach the embattled Deputy Speaker was raised by the member representing Oedo East, Osaigbovo Iyoha, and seconded by Akoko Edo II, Emmanuel Agbaje.
Acts of corruption, misappropriation, and that's capable of stabilizing.
The impeachment notice was signed by 16 members. The impeached Deputy Speaker demanded for the names of the 16 members who allegedly signed the impeachment notice. The Speaker consequently announced the suspension of Victor Eduro for 3 months. The members representing Owa East, Folio Gidengbe, and Esako West, Abdul Ganiyu, were also suspended for unruly behavior.
Modalities have been put in place to set up recreational centers to cater for the elderly persons in the state in order to provide for their peculiar needs. Governor Godwin Obaseki disclosed this at the close of the 5th Conference of Elderly Persons Association of Nigeria in Benin City. Goodluck Inaini reports.
The governor, who was represented by the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Magdalene Ohehe, noted that the decision to set up the center was in line with the country-wide resolution to provide recreational facilities for the elderly persons in the society. The governor explained that in the ongoing refurbishment of permanent health care centers across the state, adequate provision has been made to reduce the burden which elderly persons in the state go through to access public health care.
The sum of 1.5 billion Paris reform has been also injected towards clearing all the backlog in order to forestall the ugly situation of the elderly pensioners having to survive without their duly earned pension.
National President of the Association, Reverend Adibisi Oluoye, while describing the theme of the conference, the economic challenges and the blessing of old age as apt, regretted that despite the abundant human and material resources, the nation still ranked one of the poorest countries in the world. In Benin, Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
As part of efforts to tackle environmental challenges confronting Nigeria as a nation, the Ondo State government is to host the 12th edition of the National Council on Environment in Akure between 28th of October and 1st of November. Chief of Staff to Ondo State Governor and Chairman, Local Organizing Committee, Mr. Olubenga Ale, stated this after meeting with representatives of the Federal Ministry of Environment from Abuja. Doris Olumoko has the report.
Nigeria is battling with many environmental challenges which could be natural or traceable to the way people manage their lives.
The theme for the 12th National Council on Environment is Environment and Security in Nigeria, consolidating Nigeria's environment sector reforms towards sustainable development. This is crucial because every human being depends on the environment for survival. The meeting will afford stakeholders in the environmental sector across the country opportunity to chart the way forward on environmental issues trending locally and globally, with a focus on how to consolidate the environment sector reforms and achieve national transformation.
Top of the agenda will be the subject on how to mainstream and align the set SDG targets.
If we are to, as a nation, effectively address these problems, there is a need for us to take a critical look at the existing environmental laws.
The meeting will review the national policy on environment in Akure. Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. I hand you over now to Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you very much, Obehi. And it's now time for us to go on a commercial break. Nationwide continues shortly. Please stay tuned. Good to know you're still with us. And Asamao is in our Sokoto Network Center, standing by for updates, making the rounds on that end.
Thank you, Fatima. Good afternoon and welcome to Sokoto. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has pardoned 40 inmates in Sokoto Central Prison. The governor, who was represented by the Chairman Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy, said the gesture is in line with the federal government's effort to decongest prisons in the country. Aminu Bellaka Oji reports.
8 of the inmates released were granted unconditional pardon and each received 50,000 naira for self-reliance. 6 inmates had their jail terms reduced from life imprisonment to 15 and 25 years. The remaining 26 got their death sentence reduced to life imprisonment. Addressing the beneficiaries, the governor called on them to use their second chance for their own good and the society at large.
If you show more remorse and good conduct, the prison officials would certainly make further recommendations, and in due course, some of you that have not gotten unconditional pardon may get unconditional pardon and further reduction of terms of imprisonment.
Some of the inmates who spoke to NTA News expressed happiness for the gesture.
It is not the best thing to be in prison here. At least those who are out there, they should try as much as possible to be good citizens.
They pledge to be good members of the society. In Sokoto, Aminu Bellaka Oje, NTA News.
The Pharmacist Council of Nigeria has sold off over 340 patient medicine stores in Kebbi State. Nuraton Kwakili reports that the premises were closed down during an inspection visit by the council for non-compliance with laid-down guidelines. The report.
Drugs are produced to provide relief and cure various forms of illnesses. If not properly handled, drugs can adversely affect the end user, which sometimes leads to death or permanent disability. To prevent this and guarantee safety, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria is saddled with the responsibility of entrenching rational drug distribution in line with the national drug distribution policy of the federal government.
Council is trying all in its power to ensure that all those that sell medicines within Kebbi State and all over the country, they operate in line with laid down regulations. This is to ensure that the public access drugs that are safe, effective.
The council, while in Kebbi State, visited over 500 premises to assess compliance, out of which over 340 were sealed for non-compliance. Briefing newsmen shortly after the exercise, the Director Inspection and Monitoring Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, Mrs. Antonia Aduya, said the exercise will be continued to ensure provision of good pharmaceutical services in the state.
Law requires that all pharmaceutical facilities where drugs are manufactured, sold, warehoused, or distributed be registered by the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, and to ensure continuous licensure of same to legally key into the drug distribution chain.
Although the premises were sealed due to lack of due process and requisite knowledge or operating beyond scope, the council is optimistic of improvement in the system owing to the positive disposition of the operators. In Birnin Kebbi, Nuraton Kwakili, NTA News.
And that's our package from Sokoto. The news will continue after these messages. Please stay with us.
Thank you very much, Asmao. The federal government has expressed its determination to break away from past practices of committing Nigeria to treaties without definite implementation plans towards actualizing the expected benefits and risk mitigation strategies. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this while inaugurating a presidential committee to assess the impact and readiness of Nigeria for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. He said the era of signing agreements without understanding and planning for the consequences of such actions is over.
For us in Nigeria, our vision for intra-African trade is for the free movement of made-in-Africa goods. This means the goods and services must have significant African content in terms of raw materials and value addition to the production and service processes. Therefore, the Continental Free Trade Area must be packaged and implemented to achieve this vision. This is the only way the majority of Africans will positively benefit from it.
State House correspondent Adamu Samba reports that the committee has 12 weeks to come up with a clear roadmap for Nigeria as it relates to Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And coming together to build an inclusive world of universal respect for human rights and dignity is the central message as Global Poverty Eradication Day was celebrated. Omenika Amarachuku reports that non-governmental organizations took a 5-kilometer walk in Abuja to commemorate the day.
The 2030 Agenda acknowledges that eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions is the greatest global challenge for sustainable development, recognizing that people must come together to achieve that in order to build a sustainable future. Push Africa for Integration and Development Initiative, conveners of the event, is soliciting the support of all to address disproportionate impact of poverty among the youths.
Our mandate is to see how we can reduce or eliminate poverty to the barest minimum as much as we can. There's some professionals who have said that poverty cannot be eradicated, but at least we can do something about it.
Because he wants every youth to be gainfully employed, even if it means self-employment, and that is what we are looking for.
The International Day for Eradication of Poverty has been observed every year since 1993, when the United Nations General Assembly designated this day to promote awareness on the need to eradicate poverty worldwide. In Abuja, Omenka Marachuku, NTA News.
Nigeria High Commissioner to India, Major General Chris Eze, has encouraged Nigerians living in India to sustain the unity among them. He was speaking at a festival organized by the Igbo community in Mumbai, in the west coast of India. Victor Azu on the Nigerian High Commissioner team in India has the report.
Mumbai, formerly known as Bombay, is one of India's high-density areas. Call it the premier business district of India, adorned with waterfront and especially famous as the hub of India's creative industry, Bollywood. In faraway Mumbai, you find a significant population of the Nigerian community, there adding value to the GDP of the Indian economy. Nigerians of Igbo extraction are obviously in the lead, and this informs their rolling out the drums for this ancient culture in the commercial nerve center of India. The Ofala festival, traceable to the Onitsha people of Anambra State, marks the end of a period of retreat during which the Obi undergoes a spiritual purification for the good of the community. For them, it is much more a way of coming together to forge a common front in a foreign land, a oneness the Nigerian High Commissioner says must continue if they are to achieve their individual and collective goals away from home.
Culture is what keeps the identity of a people together. So what you are doing here is something that we really do appreciate, and we hope that you will continue like that.
Head of the Igbo community in Mumbai, Igwe Kingsley Chukuma, echoes the same position.
My own advice to everyone is that we should love ourselves, we should be one, we should be united, and we should always make sure we move together. Because once we love ourselves and be united, we will be able to achieve what has been our dream.
This is the second time in a row that the Ofala Festival is being celebrated in Mumbai. Victor Azo, NTA News.
Many thanks, Victor. And now to sports. Nigeria's Super Falcons to seek 9th African Women's Championship title in Ghana as Team Nigeria in Youth Olympic Games returns home with 4 medals. Amanzi Marcos has more on Sports Update. And that's it on Nationwide for today. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I am Fatima Umar Buba.